Right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Redesigning Teaching and Learning Models with AI-Driven Solutions in Asia. This is a Times Higher Education webinar in partnership with Coursera. My name is Alistair Lawrence. I'm the Head of Branded Content at THE, and I'll be chairing today's discussion. I'm joined today by a panel of experts from academia and industry who are Eclavia Barbe, who is Enterprise Sales Head for Asia at Coursera, Christine Louise Summers, who is Chief Academic Officer, Provost, and Executive Dean of Faculty and Nursing at the University of Pelita Harapan in Indonesia, Michaela Musinava, who is COO for Education at the IT Park in Uzbekistan, Stephanie G. Quimbao, who is Director of Education for the Technology Office and a faculty member of the College of Business and Accountancy at the National University of the Philippines, and Mabel Tanji Jo, who is President and CEO of UCSI College in Malaysia. There will be an opportunity to put questions to the panel during the final 5 or 10 minutes of the hour that we have scheduled today. So please write any questions that you have in the box on Zoom, and we will answer as many as we can before the end. As the rapid advancement of AI technology transforms Asia's higher education sector, many universities are now identifying and analyzing the benefits and challenges of adopting AI tools. While this places pressure on teaching staff to quickly become AI proficient and modernize pedagogical methods to both anticipate threats and meet evolving student needs, new and emerging AI tools can help enhance personalized student learning and boost engagement. To fully harness AI's potential, universities must put in place effective guidelines and policies that maximize digital literacy, modernize assessment and pedagogical models, and create future-ready graduates. So with that in mind, I'd like to begin by asking the panel what steps that they're taking to ensure faculty buy-in for these programs at their institutions, and whether they think that their staff are receiving the necessary training to become AI proficient. Obviously, this is a long-term project in many cases, but universities still needs to be agile. Christine, could we perhaps come to you first for your perspective on this?
Sure. Thank you, Alistair. So here we're working with our Center for Teaching and Learning to explore more about what best practices are in teaching with AI. One of the things that we know we need to do is help our faculty learn more about it, especially even simple skills such as prompt engineering, so that they can understand how to best use some of these AI tools. I think the other piece that we are looking at is when we're thinking about course development and teaching and learning in the classroom, demonstrating some ways that AI can be used in the classroom that can actually help us as faculty to improve the teaching and learning experience.
And is there much differentiation between faculty or subject members in terms of the appetite for buy-in or the ease at which you think this can be applied?
I think so far what I've seen is some of the older faculty are still trying to find out more information about it, whereas some of our younger faculty have already started to play around with it. Obviously our computer science faculty, we can probably learn from them. They have definitely already have been playing around, especially as it relates to using AI to do coding assignments. I think the area where we really need to work on is how can we use AI to really help us in the teaching and learning atmosphere, help us to have better aligned assignments with our course objectives, help us develop higher quality and critical thinking style multiple choice questions. And I really think AI can really help us in that area.
Okay, thank you. Stephanie, may I come to you next, please? Can you perhaps give us your thoughts on how this can be applied in an industry-facing discipline such as business and accounting?
I'm sorry, what is it again?
How it can be applied in your areas of study and teaching?
Well, it can be applied using the analytic tools, of course, to identify the pattern in the student performance, so that the information can be used to develop more targeted and effective assessment for these students. Also using the AI-powered personalized learning tools to provide students with customized feedback and support This can help students to learn more effectively and to improve their performance on assessment. Actually, in National University, we use AI-powered grading tools to automate the grading of essay and other assignments. This can actually free up faculty time to focus on other tasks, such as providing feedback to students and developing new assessments.
Just on that last point, has this been something that's been welcomed by faculty when you're giving them time back to do this type of work?
Well, actually, through the EdTech office, we provide trainings and workshop for the faculty members to enable them to modernize the assessment models and improve their pedagogical methods, and of course, create the future-ready graduates.
And how much of a conversation have you had with students about this process? How aware are they of the work that you're doing and the change that is taking place?
We offer monthly trainings for the faculty members as well as with the students. We make sure to keep them updated with the latest technological tools in education. And also, it is important for us to upskill our faculty members, because we cannot give what we do not have, right? That's why we continue to upskill our faculty members, especially those who are already in the digital immigrants. Okay. And our goal is to make them a digital native citizens, digital citizens rather.
I see. And so you've got faculty and students learning side by side in these cases?
Yes. And that is the job of the EdTech office, to provide to upskill, to provide training, upskill the faculty members and the students.
Okay. And how long do these programs run for? Are they ongoing throughout the academic year?
Yes, it is. And we also created a training plan for the faculty members, wherein, since we are a Microsoft Showcase school, we maximize the use of Microsoft tools, especially the use of Power Automate, so it can help faculty members, the administrative staff also, to work efficiently and effectively.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Tan, have you introduced anything like this at your institution, where the program, the training for the staff and the students are quite close together, or do they happen separately?
It happens separately.
Okay, thank you. And Dr. Tan, sorry, I think you're on mute. Does this mirror? Are you taking a similar approach at your institution, or is it different?
Oh, at UCSI, we have training for staff very often. It's actually, we've had a few sessions with for ChatGPT, for Bing, Bard, and all the rest, and for students as well. But the staff actually learn from the students more, because they are introduced to these software from the students themselves. And students will say, "Oh, Miss, I've tried this. Would you like to try it too? It's so easy." So, but we do have very frequent trainings and workshops for the staff. Some paid, some free, and some are best practice sharing sessions, like for staff who have been using the AI tools quite regularly. They also organize sessions and share best practices.
And who's in charge of monitoring what AI tools are used? Because there are many out there, and one of the challenges for universities is that a new one will appear, and perhaps your IT team or your EdTech infrastructure team they haven't had the time to work on it and vet it in the same way that they have perhaps a more famous platform like ChatGPT.
Yeah, so because is quite new, the staff are trying many different ones. So ChatGPT is one of them. And of course, because we are subscribed to Microsoft, so Microsoft Bing is another one, and Google Bard. But we've also tried some of the softwares like Adobe Firefly, which is very interesting for visual and photographs kind of AI. I think the staff like to use Kahoot and quizzes, and then there's this venturing into AR and VR now. So we have just purchased a few sets of Pico 4, which is really, really interesting. The the three-dimensional world as you enter into a virtual reality world. It's so real and so interesting, and the students really enjoy it, and the staff as well.
Okay, thanks. It's interesting to see how it's changing not just the pedagogy, but also potentially the assessment that takes place as well. And we'll talk about that in a moment. Dr. Wilsova, if I can come to you and just ask you about your work on IT Park, and you can tell us about how AI applications are affecting that, and what the integration with, with higher education looks like, and how you think it might change.
Oh, thank you very much for the question. So we have our private university. Also, we have more than 65 universities with IT faculties and fully IT universities. And mostly all of them are trying to integrate artificial intelligence to the educational process. And we are starting with the TOT because it's essential for us to have the teachers and professors working in the universities understanding and knowing how to use these tools. And then at the second stage, we are implementing programs to integrate the artificial intelligence to the governmental program of the higher institutions. For instance, in the IT Park University, the university that is established by IT Park together with EPUB Systems Company, we have integrated the artificial intelligence to our educational process, and we were the first university organized in Uzbekistan. So our students can prepare their home tasks by using artificial intelligence. So now we are planning to integrate artificial intelligence to the preparation of the lessons and to the examination process.
Thank you. And who is leading on that process? Because it's a big undertaking with lots of different stakeholders.
You mean from the government or?
From your side, from the integration and creating the program.
So we have initiated one more staff in the team of the university responsible for the integration of artificial intelligence to the educational process.
Okay. And what was their background in? What made them suitable for the role?
Sorry?
What made them suitable for the role? Is it a case of project management or knowledge of the technology, or a combination of those things?
I see. So we have decided to make a combination of the both sides because it's essential to have technological and managerial sides of the point. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Clive, if I bring you in at this point to perhaps give us your views on how universities can help faculty view AI as a positive disruption, and that's something that can help them tailor instruction and reevaluate their assessments. Dr. Sand touched on this briefly about how, once you change the pedagogy, eventually you will have to probably change the assessment in line with this.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I could answer that, I was listening to the responses, and I just was reflecting when I was a student, right? When I was a student, only the professors of computer science would talk about software. And now when I look at this panel, every panelist, every academic leader is talking about softwares and tools so fluently, it doesn't feel, you can't make out who's a tech and who's non-tech faculty member here. But yeah, that's a great question. What we are trying to do, leveraging AI now to help the faculty members, is improve their efficiency, both in terms of the content creation, the course creation, as well as the assessment. Traditionally, when the teachers have been teaching in the class, to increase their efficiency, they do two things. One is to refer to the books or the articles written by the other professors and faculty members and create their own notes. So the faculty members don't write their own books, right? They refer to the books written by the other faculty members. And what if we could replicate the same thing on the online model? And what we are trying to do is come out with AI-assisted course builder in the next few months. And what it will do is help the faculty members bring in efficiency of creating their own courses leveraging AI. So it is a simple 4-step process. The first step, for example, if I'm a professor of business and I want to create a course on leadership, for example, I can, in the first step, define that I want to create a course on leadership. Second step, I can define that what are the learning objectives. So I can decide there are 3 learning objectives: critical thinking, strategic thinking, communication. The third step, I can define what is the content that I would want to leverage. And on the Coursera platform, you can say, you can get the videos from the other universities, you can get the videos from the other industry partners that create courses on Coursera, such as Google, IBM, Microsoft, etc. You can also upload your own videos. A lot of faculty members create their own modules, their own videos, and they have a lot of rich material available with them. They can also upload that. Then the fourth step is to define what is the duration of the course that I want to create. An 8-hour course or a 10-hour course. You define that, press enter. Within few minutes, you get a shell or a draft or a full course, which is already created on the platform. So now, instead of the faculty member creating a full course on their own, the faculty members will get a course draft, which will have videos from Stanford, Yale, NUS, Google, etc. Now, this is not the final course. The final say will still be with the faculty member, because they will be in charge of what course comes out. The faculty members can say, out of these 15 videos, I don't think 11th and 13th video is what I would like. Delete these 2 videos, add 4 more videos. They can also read through the description of each video, which will be divided into equal parts based on the weekly learning that the students need to do. Only when the faculty member is fully satisfied, then they can publish the video, which is publish the course, which will be a private course for their students. So it will not be available to public in general, but this will be available to their own private students. What it does is help the faculty members increase their efficiency. So now, instead of worrying about which courses to take, instead of asking the students to take 15 different courses, the faculty members can create their own full course with the full understanding that these courses are from the top universities and companies. But it will also help the faculty members to take step towards embracing AI, embracing technology, which the other panelists were also saying, because these are the gradual steps. And I think this is the way where we are thinking, how do we help the faculty members to first embrace and also come out with the course content, which will increase their efficiency, but still keep the entire ownership power in the hands of faculty members.
Okay, that's interesting. Thank you. It's for all the use of the new technology, I noticed that there are still references to things such as, skills education, which is something that Coursera has done a lot to enable in the past, and also the integration with industry as well, which is something that we'll talk about a little bit later on. Is this just a way of preserving what your university partners want and what has proved popular with students in the past, as well as integrating that new technology? So it's not just about the pedagogy; it also has to be about skills and employability when we talk about assessment.
Absolutely. So while the first part was about the faculty members, I think the equal ownership of all of us is to help the students to be ready for the future. So while we help the faculty members to embrace technology, use the technology to create content, on the other hand, there are many courses available on Coursera platform to help both faculty members and students learn on the skill. When we talk to the industries, when we talk to the HR leaders and the functional leaders, one of the things that they say is that students come with the academic knowledge, but they do not necessarily come with the requisite skills that's needed for their role when they join the workforce. So what we also, and industry is also looking at industry micro-credentials. So they are, in addition to the grades that the students earn in colleges, they are also looking at what specific skills that the students have learned. And one way to demonstrate that is the students earn industry micro-credentials. So the way we work with top universities to create content, there are top companies that create industry micro-credentials on Coursera platform. So the students can take that journey of earning micro-credentials on specific topics for specific roles that help them to be more prepared for the workforce that they will be joining soon.
Okay, thank you. Another point you made there about how AI technology can create the shell quite quickly and the structure quite quickly, but faculty members still need the freedom and the control to decide what works and what doesn't. How important is it for universities to reiterate when they start using AI technology that faculty members will still keep control and it won't all just be automated and run away from them?
Yeah, I mean, I can answer, but I'm sure there are academic leaders who would answer this better. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no two way about it that we need teachers, we need mentors, we need professors to help the students understand what they are learning. So it's not AI versus teachers, it is AI and teachers, AI and faculty members. So it's a combination, it's a tool at the end of it. And how teachers and professors and faculty members leverage it, it is up to them. But I think it is not about one replacing the other. It is both of them working towards making sure that the learning and the learning objectives are sharper, so that it helps both the students as well as faculty members.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I saw a few smiles from our panelists when we mentioned that. So I think maybe they've had these conversations already in one form or another. Dr. Summers, have you addressed any anxieties about this? You mentioned perhaps slightly older members of faculty being less tech literate purely because of an age gap or a generation gap. But do people still need convincing that this technology is an enabler for them?
I think they do. I think, as we have seen, literally AI, especially in the academic world, has exploded in the last 6 to 12 months. There's a lot of benefit, but there's also a lot of fear related to, how do you know if a faculty member wrote something, or how do you know if the student actually wrote that? And so there's a lot of fear about students or faculty losing writing skills. And I think what has been mentioned that, frequently in using AI, this is not something that is the end result. It is providing some additional perspective. It's giving you some guidance. It is summarizing information quickly, but that is not the end result. And I think we need to continue to emphasize that, not only to our faculty, but also to our students, that you can't trust everything that AI is going to give you. When I've tried to kind of ask it, different research type related questions, frequently the references are wrong. And so I think, we need to help our students use discernment when they're using AI. And I think that goes into that area about needing to learn the skill of prompt engineering, about what is it that you're actually asking it to do so that you get the result that you want. And then you still need to refine it. And that is continuing to be an ongoing conversation. And I think the more that we learn how to use AI, and then those of us that are exploring more, then being able to share that with other faculty and actually show them, rather than, talking about it. It's like, okay, let's sit down at the computer. Let me show you what this is. Here's kind of the areas where this doesn't work out so well. Here's some areas where it really does work well. Now you try it with one of your problems. And so I think there needs to be kind of a little bit more of that hands-on practice opportunities.
It's one of the things that maybe people don't grasp initially, because AI can be such a sophisticated tool, is that, like you say, if it's drawing down from the wrong references or the wrong sources or the wrong types of information, then it doesn't matter how sophisticated the calculations it does, it will give you the wrong answer, basically, or something that's not accurate. Yeah.
And so you still, whether it's the student or faculty, you still need to be in control and edit and revise as needed.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Tan, how do you think this will shape assessment at your institution going forward?
That's interesting, because assessment, if say one of my lecturers, she's an accounting lecturer, but she wants her students to do a presentation on the important people or the famous people who has brought up accounting. And so she uses ChatGPT, and very quickly all the famous people who has been accountants before or who has contributed. And then the assessment is done with the students, and they give an exhibition on that, a presentation on that. So it makes it so much quicker, more efficient. But at the same time, like what Dr. Sommer said also, we have to check, we have to make sure that the information is correct, because I think the large language model for generative AI is based on public, non-protected, maybe data which may not be that accurate, and also probably outdated a little bit. So we will still have to personalize it and make it our own. and so that it meets what we want in our learning outcomes.
And that point about personalizing it is interesting because it's something that we've heard a lot over the past couple of years of universities have managed the mass shift to online and embrace digital tools of all types a lot more. Is that, well, this enables personalized learning now because you have different types of learners who learn through different modes and mediums and who learn at different paces, and things like asynchronous and digital learning can support those learners a lot more. AI, I guess, is a tricky one because on one hand it is that type of tool on the surface, but as you say, if you rely on it too much, you're almost you're tied to the data that it's using, and you perhaps sacrifice some of your own personal study or original thinking.
Not necessarily. It can give you a quick overview, but then you contextualize it into your local needs and also your students, the type of students. So I think as the educator, you will need to do all that after you've generated some information, so that also the prompt engineering comes in again. It has to be so specific, so accurate, so that it doesn't go all over the place.
I see. So it's about using a combination of the, your own critical skills and the technology. Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Kiambo, how are your student expectations of assessment changing in response to AI tools being introduced?
The students are very happy that their teachers are using these interactive assessments because that's who they are now. They are digitally native students, and they are looking for more interactive tools inside the classroom. And actually, they are looking for more interactive tools.
Okay. So is the rate of adoption, would you say it's maybe perhaps faster among the student body than it is faculty, or?
Yes, actually, our challenge is the faculty members who use these interactive learning tools. That's why the National University created the Education Technology Office for them to help to guide the faculty members to use all these interactive learning system. Okay,
thank you very much. Dr. Muxinova, how do you think industry's expectations of universities are changing because of assessment at university? Are they expecting to see graduates come out with different credentials, be they micro credentials or different types of proof that they learned how to use AI, or that they have a good understanding of it?
Oh, thank you. I think the best way, considering our small experience, is that we have to expect from our graduates to understand how to use these tools. And regarding the assessment, it can be implemented to the assessment system through the modeling and through the multi-integral support. So artificial intelligence assisted tools are transformative. They are refining assessment and enhancing pedagogy and contributing to the creation of the work-ready graduates. So they represent the commitment to produce graduates ready for the jobs of the tomorrow. By harnessing the artificial intelligence, the power of that artificial intelligence, we are not only modernizing education, we are building the foundation for the workforce of the future.
Thank you very much. Eclavia, I'd like to ask you a question about the integrated with the industry, because Coursera, obviously, it serves industry as well as serving university partners too. Do you think there are new challenges facing personalized user journeys because of AI? I mean, the amount of options that it gives people and the amount of tools that it gives people. Is there a way to engage with faculty that already is showing you that it can enhance faculty's productivity and efficiency when using these tools?
Yeah, absolutely. There are two ways of looking at it. In the working world, when we work with the companies, they are specifically looking at personalized learning because, unlike university class, the learning in a company will not be homogeneous, because not everybody is doing the same subject. Somebody would be data scientist, somebody would be data analyst. And for these two different roles, the skills needed by the employee will be very different. So we have models for different roles for an organization, which helps the employees to build skills specific to their roles. Now, it is very different in an academic scenario, right? When a student is part of a cohort, all students would be learning the same. All students will have the same learning objectives. All students will have the same goals. Now, in terms of the assessments, and I think there were a lot of good points shared around assessments, what we are thinking around assessments, and I was also looking at chats, I think there's also a lot of concern about how we would do the assessments, how do we make sure that the students are actually learning. And I have 2 points of view on this, and I'll share how Coursera is also thinking about it. First, there's a fear about cheating and utilization of ChatGPT and other models. The fear is higher when the dependency on that one particular exam is high. If you're taking only one exam in the entire year, then you would fear a lot. I think we need to move to a model where there's a constant assessments in small bits and pieces. So every time, every class, a student learns something new, they should be tested on a small module that they have learned, so that at the end of the year, it's not a huge burden for the student. And also it takes away the fear that the students might be using methods which may not be appropriate. So that's one. Second, as I was talking earlier about creating courses, we are also thinking, how do we make sure that we are increasing the efficiency and helping the faculty members to create assessments. Now, there are 2 or 3 ways where we can leverage AI as well as the other models that we already have to assist the faculty members. So today, what we have done is created question banks for about 30 subjects that we've seen largely used across the universities. So the faculty members can use the existing question banks that we have created, so that it acts as the first level of assessment for the students. The second, what we are planning to come out with is, just like AI-assisted course builder, we are also coming and thinking about AI-assisted question bank. So what we'll do is the faculty members can again decide what are the topics, what are the learning objectives, what is the difficulty level of the questions, and then they can create a full question bank. And then they can decide the questions based on the difficulty level, how many questions should be asked, what should be the duration, which will all help the faculty members to not only create an assessment, but also test the student on the knowledge that they already have. The third layer that we say and suggest to the universities, also take the in-person, in-class assessments, right? So part of it is online, part of it is in class, in person, so that the faculty members are again in full control. So we want to make sure that the faculty members understand that whether it's course creation or assessment, they have the full control of what's being taught and assessed in the class. So again, through AI generated question bank, through the question bank that we already have, as well as the in-class assessments that the faculty members would do, will act as multiple levels of assessing students, but also leveraging online versus offline models.
Okay, thank you. It's interesting how it can give more greater flexibility, and also how the offline models shouldn't be underestimated here. They still have something to contribute. We've got quite a lot of questions from the audience, as Chloe mentioned. There's more than 200 of you in the audience today, so thank you so much for joining us. It's great to see such a strong turnout. We're keen to give you the opportunity to ask as many questions as possible to the panel. So if you do have any that you haven't asked yet, please drop them in the Q&A. I'd like to get started a little bit early on the Q&A, just so we can try and get through as many questions from the audience as possible. To begin, we've had a couple about this theme. That one I'll pick out from Justin Wiley. Justin, thank you for your question. She says that AI can offer students with disabilities some great tools to assist them in participating in learning and assessments, and offer them more equity with their peers. What does the panel think about this potential, e.g. scaffoldings, grammar, and summarizing tools? I think another related point to that is the tools that the support that AI enables for students who are perhaps learning in their second or third language, or perhaps have some other disadvantages, say if they're dyslexic, for example, compared to their peers. I was just wondering if anyone had any thoughts about the conversations they've had about AI's ability to help with special needs students and whether steps have been taken for that. Mabel, I think I can, sorry, Dr. Tan, I think I can see you nodding, which means I will ask you first. That's okay.
Actually, I was just thinking of students with disabilities, maybe like, for example, hard of hearing, or maybe even with bad eyesight, and you have AI tools that can come in to read out the passages, summarize for them, those kind of tools. But I'm not sure. I was probably thinking more of Christine, who with the nursing program might have that kind of exposure a bit more.
Okay, Dr. Summers?
So I think, what we've started to explore with here at the university, or seeing more of, is a lot related to the tools that are in Microsoft Office products and Grammarly that are providing more information as it is relating to, helping with grammar and spelling. And now it's helping more with word choice and sentence choice and being more concise. And, really notice an increase in that capability related within the last 6 months. I've heard more about, opportunities for that personalized feedback. And as Dr. Tan has mentioned, being able to read passages and be able to summarize content. At this point, we have not yet had opportunity to explore that aspect of it very much. I think a lot of what we have explored more is, I'll be honest, doing language translation. Most of my nursing students are not proficient in the English language. So when I lecture, if I create videos, everything has to be translated, and that can be time consuming. And so exploring more with AI as it's related to that automatic language translation, but then that also gives students the opportunity to be able to see and hear potentially in different languages or in the same language, to also help them improve their proficiency either in English or in Indonesian. So I think there's a lot more that we can explore in this area. And I feel like, every couple months when I open up Office 365, there are becoming more and more tools that are available. And so I think one of the things, we've already talked about that need for training, is we really need to be aware and really help to then provide that information to our students and faculty about what is already available in the tools that we've, many of us have been using now, for over a decade, and we're not even aware that they have become there, and really helping our students to utilize those.
Okay, thanks. So it's about keeping up with the updates and the new products that are put out there, as much as thinking about the cohort and who they might be most useful to.
Yeah, and for us, it's mostly been related to language issues, is how we've used it the most so far.
Okay, thank you very much.
Alistair, maybe if I can also add to it, right? Because, as Dr. Sommer said, we are in the Asia Pacific region, where in many countries, English is not the first language. And we always think that how do we make sure that students should have equal opportunity of learning, even though they don't have the same understanding of the language. So what we have done, again, leveraging AI, we've translated about 4,000 courses in Bahasa Indonesia and Thai, which are available now for the students across the world. Because traditionally, we have been seeing a lot of students from Indonesia and Thailand who are keen to learn, but not every student is proficient in English. So we have done that. And slowly we are increasing that to the other languages, and soon we'll have in Japanese and Korean. So just want to make sure that each student has equal opportunity to learn, even if they are not as proficient in English as the other students are.
And I suppose there's also a consideration for some languages, such as, English being the prevalent language in programming languages and things like that, where you have to accommodate an element of multilingualism.
That's right.
Okay.
May I just add that there's for students with disabilities, and if you're talking about preschool or early years of education, perhaps tools like the VR, where the students can just put on that headset and they can be in a different world, like underwater, you know, and be swimming amongst fishes and everything. And that would be so exciting for them.
So it's about
You know,
giving sort of continuity when we look at earlier years of education. So by the time they come to university, they're used to some AI integration and some VR tools, so it's not too overwhelming when they begin. Okay, great, thank you. Dr. Kiambo, is there a particular type of student cohort who you think can be helped the most by the extra support that AI could give?
About the disability students with disability, actually.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, we actually do not have we have less students like that here in National University, but we start small. We do not try to implement too many AI-powered tools at once. We start by identifying 1 or 2 areas where AI could make a difference for the students, and then focus on implementing tools in those areas. That's what we do.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Muxinova, if I could come to you next, please, to ask about a couple of questions that we've had along the same lines, which is how to use AI tools to help students develop critical thinking. This is something we touched on very briefly at the start of the discussion, but do you think there's a particular way to integrate AI that enables students to be more critical about, you know, what they're looking at, what they're processing, what they're evaluating when they're looking at AI generated prompts and text?
Thank you. Actually, it's a very interesting question, and the thing that everyone is challenging, whether students can be critical, can they think critically or not after the implementation of artificial intelligence. Mostly more traditional universities and teachers are afraid of the fact that students may lose their critical thinking. However, I'm sure that artificial intelligence and integration into the educational programs may lead to the development of the critical thinking, because in the same line as the teachers and students should evaluate whether the information prepared by artificial intelligence is proper or not, whether it's true or not. So the modern students will need to have more developed critical thinking and try to evaluate whether the information is proper or not. So to sum up, I think that artificial intelligence is making our students and the future generation, more developed in the sense of critical thinking.
And is it in terms of testing that and checking that, is that where there's still a huge importance for them to get students to get the right kind of guidance from faculty, so they're not relying on it too much?
So in order to make students more to make their studies more efficient, I think firstly the teachers and the professors should help them to evaluate the information and to provide tools how to use artificial intelligence properly.
Okay, thank you very much. We've had a couple of questions, well, quite a few questions actually, about how to solve the puzzle of using AI tools for essay-based assessment. You know, we've all seen the headlines about the potential for the threat to academic integrity that ChatGPT has, in particular when it comes to helping students write essays, or whether they are taking the right approach when they're filing essay-based work. Dr. Tan, how have you started to address this puzzle? You know, there are the most extreme views that you hear from some faculty is that, okay, well, you can't grade essays anymore, and that you need different forms of assessment to do that. But surely there still needs to be some function to test students' comprehension and their writing skills and things like that.
Yeah, so now what we can do is with the essays, we can still run it through Turnitin, and we can set limits on Turnitin to check for plagiarism, maybe 15-20%. And I think from January of 2024, Turnitin is going to have an AI checker. So how much of that paragraph or that passage is actually AI generated, and how much of it is original? So I think we are looking forward to that, January 2024. But besides that, I think also we can, because ChatGPT does, it's not real time compared to Bing or Bard. So, and they don't have referencing, no citation. So sometimes what the students will do is they will get a passage from ChatGPT and then copy paste and put it into Bing or Bard, and then they can get the citation from there. And then do a little bit of maneuvering and then post it up. So as long as we can see that there is some, like I said, personalization, contextualization, and also we can see it from their perspective, I don't see why we will just cut off ChatGPT or generative AI altogether. I think we use it as a tool rather than fearing it.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Kev, we've had a question for you about how your institution is using AI to grade writing. Is it similar to the process that Dr. Tan describes, where you're looking for instances of plagiarism, but on the whole you're trying to incorporate it?
Well, actually, this was discussed by one of our faculty members. He used the application in Microsoft Teams assignment, wherein we upload the rubric for the essay, and that's it. The AI will generate the scores on it.
I see. And it's how easy or difficult is it to manage students' expectations about how that work will be assessed?
Well, at first, we already upload the rubric so that the students would already be informed on the rubrics on how they will be graded, and that's it. So we make sure, the faculty members make sure to use higher order thinking skills for their assessments.
I see. And Clive, can I bring you in at this point, please, to ask about, do you think that the fears about AI tools killing off essay writing and essay writing skills are overplayed? I mean, is it too early for Coursera to gather any holistic data yet about the types of assessment and the types of assignments that are still being favored among faculty, so we can see if there's an increase or a decrease in this area?
No, I think obviously there's a lot of anxiety around AI and how the students would leverage it. And that's why I feel that if there are different ways of testing students, it'll be more helpful, because, if you just have objective type questions, then there'll always be fear whether the students know the answer or they've been getting the answers online. And that's why we say that if there are multiple ways of testing the students on how and what they have learned, it will be helpful. And that's why what we are suggesting the faculty members do right now, if we were to leverage AI to generate question, for example, that's one. Second, there are always ways of faculty members to also create project-based assessments and assignments. So in a group of students, they can give a project that each of the student will have to do a part of it, so that it fosters a lot of collaboration between the students. Each student will have to do a part of it. Somebody takes a lead, somebody is managing the entire project. So that also creates a lot of benefit for the students, because they'll be able to develop some of the softer skills. I think where there's a lot of concern that if everything is online, what happens to the human skills and softer skills? So I think cohort-based learning, project-based learning, learning in class, learning online, I think if we have a combination of all of these, then it will not weigh in on a particular topic or a particular tool, but a combination of learning methods and assessments for both faculty as well as students.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Dr. Summers, we've had one question about avoiding cultural bias when we use AI, and I suppose that's a question to do with the type of data that's going in and affecting the prompts and the structure for learning that's coming out. You mentioned briefly considering things like such as the language barrier among students and the need to accommodate different perspectives. Is this something where you still need a human voice and a human critical faculty to go in and make sure that the diversity of your student cohort is being reflected by the type of work that AI is generating?
I think yes. And I think we also need to be aware that culture does affect how we learn. The opportunities that we've had growing up in our, middle school, high school years, they, as well as our own natural inclinations and our preferences for learning, all influence how we learn. And so I think we've got two sides to that cultural issue. One is cultural bias. And as we've seen in the news a lot, obviously cultural bias is there. AI is curating information from all over the internet. And if it is coming across information that's coming from a cultural bias perspective, then yes, its responses are going to be cultural bias. And so I think that's going back to helping the student to really think about the response and what are they seeing with that. As we're thinking about how culture affects learning, I think part of the beauty of AI is going to be is that this isn't just going to be a tool that's helpful for the visual learner or for the auditory learner or for the kinesthetic learner, that you can then be able to have assessments and tools within your course that can utilize all three, and the student can decide which one that they want to be able to do, or like turning on subtitles for those that are more visual learners rather than the auditory, and then having other interactive activities that you're putting into your course for the more kinesthetic. And so the other thing that's kind of already been talked about is the importance of linking our, say, like multiple choice questions to our learning objectives, and being able to have that broader perspective. And I think in the research that I have done related to culture and learning, that personalized approach and being able to have some of those extra resources, our tutoring, is very important in helping the student to be successful. Writing skills are essential regardless of what language that you are in. Beginning math skills are essential. And so I think, we talked a little bit earlier about being work ready. And so I think that will help with that. But I don't think we can remove the cultural bias that's off the internet. And so we need to help our students and our faculty to recognize when it is occurring. And then that's why you can't just copy paste an answer that you're getting from ChatGPT or that AI is giving you. You need to think through what it is that you're, is this really answering the question that's being asked? Is this really what you want to say?
Okay, it's an interesting point that, as much as you can control the ecosystem of the learning environment, you can't control sources that people might consult on the internet, and that is going to feed into the type of work and assessment that you get. We've got about 10 minutes left. I'd like to begin to talk about how we can look to the future. Obviously, there's been a huge amount of change very rapidly that the mass adoption of AI technologies has affected already. When we look at things like holistic policies for AI in order to bring in all stakeholders so everybody knows what is an acceptable use of AI, what is an ethical use of AI, which is something that we've had several questions about in the chat box. Do any of you have policies that have been drafted that are institution-wide, or is this something that is evolving in real time and as such is difficult to it's difficult to implement at scale? Dr. Tan, how much communication have you had with the whole faculty and the whole student body and your administrators about where the line is, I guess, for like what is an acceptable use of AI and what is an unethical use, I suppose?
Yeah, so we are still pretty new in this. So we are gathering data at the moment, and in November, just next month, we're going to have our annual program review meeting, where this is going to be something that we are going to look at a little bit more seriously. But at the moment, it's still very new, so we are still gathering data.
Okay. Dr. Muxinova, do you have any overarching policies about AI that are available to everybody to consult?
So actually, we are also collecting information and international practices, how it's regulated in other universities, because we don't have experience in this sphere, and we are trying to regulate it and to include best practices from other universities.
I see. So it's about taking an almost peer-led approach where you're looking to see what the trends are and trying to make your response as international as possible.
Sorry?
So you're taking a very international perspective when you look at how people are responding. I see. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. There's another question that we've had, which I think is interesting. It's about whether AI steers students away from deep learning if they're used to getting very quick responses when they use it in order to set the framework for what they're studying, or also maybe directly answer assignments that they're being given by their teachers. Dr. Tan, you talked about how students are using multiple AI platforms to basically, generate the work and then apply the citations that not all platforms allow them to do. What can be done, I suppose, to encourage what people think might be getting missed? So, the deep learning, the independent study, do you think it's going away, or is it under threat, or is it just changing?
I think we are evolving as it comes. Students who maybe have not a very good command of the English language, and they write something and there could be some grammatical error. If they put it into ChatGPT and ask them to please help me correct my grammar, and it comes out a little bit more flawless, that would be good. If it is just using prompt engineering to ask ChatGPT to write a whole essay for them, you can tell from the essay, it's not the student, it doesn't come from that student, it's too high level. So as an educator, I think we know our students and what they are capable of or not. And sometimes we can say, hey, I don't think you wrote this yourself. Can you please redo? So yeah, so we need to know our students and their potential and how much they can do.
Okay. And if students are using ChatGPT or any AI prompting for the wrong reasons, does it perhaps show that there needs to be a different type of intervention where you understand why? Are they an international student who is struggling to adapt? Are they a type of learner who is finding it difficult to adapt to the modes of learning and the delivery of learning models that they're getting at higher education that they perhaps weren't getting at school? I mean, it is one of the keys to this, perhaps showing students that there is support out there for them, and that will steer them away from thinking, oh, I'm nervous, or I don't want to fail, so I'm going to try and use AI tools the wrong way.
I would like to see it in a more positive light rather than looking at it in a negative way. I think it helps make the student more efficient in their learning. Again, when they have used any of these tools, they can still personalize it and make it their own. And as educators, we can detect whether or not that particular speech was written by them or ChatGPT generated it wholly, 100%.
Okay, great. Thank you. Eclavi, we've got a couple of minutes left. I'd like to come to you for some summing up if I can. I mean, I know it's practically impossible to predict the future about these things because we don't know what the trends are going to be in terms of adoption for AI technologies, what the next step of evolution is going to be for these technologies. But broadly speaking, do you see the role of the educators that you work with? Do you see it changing much in terms of the need for them still to provide support for students, and what steps do you think might need to be taken in future in order to cure any sort of staff or student anxieties that there is some sort of existential threat to higher education because of this?
Yeah, absolutely. And whenever there is a new technology that comes into our lives, there are 3 stages, right? First is fear, when there are more questions than answers. Then there is acceptance, when there are more answers than questions. And the final stage is it becomes way of life. And you look back and you think, why was I even questioning that? happened with calculators 60, 70 years ago. We thought students would not really learn math, and we have all done well in math in our lives. Then came internet 3 decades ago, and everybody said that all the information is available on internet. Why would somebody come to school or class? If you go to any class now, it is full. Same will happen with AI. As it becomes more way of life, I think people will understand the advantages, will understand how to use it well, we'll draw our own boundaries. And I think it is currently the debate is AI versus humans. I think it is not AI versus humans, but it is a debate between humans who know how to use AI versus humans who don't know how to use AI. So I think this is where the world is moving. This is where we need to continue to move and leverage AI to help students and faculty members. But whatever may happen, we never can replace faculty members, because generally, I mean, we see faculty members only as conduit of knowledge, but they add so much more to our lives. I am not a teacher, but I know the importance of teacher in our lives and the importance of teacher in my own life. They are guide, they are coaches, they bring out best in us, they bring out best in the students. So I think AI is again a tool that should be leveraged by the faculty members to help and assist the students so that they learn faster, they learn better. But I would also say that the faculty members should not resist it. I think the faster they adopt, the better it will be, the easier the journey will be for them.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for, so we're going to have to wrap things up there. I'd like to thank all of our panelists for joining us today and for Coursera for partnering us with this event. There will be a summary article of the discussion posted on the Times Higher Education website that everyone who registered for the event today will be sent a link to. Feel free to revisit it for reference or to share it with your colleagues if you feel it's appropriate. There will also be a recording of this session too. So if there's particular insights that you want to go back and revisit, then that will be on the link that's sent out to you too. So thank you all for joining us, and I hope to see you again at future THE events. Thank you and goodbye.